traffic. Gonna go deep. Has a man deep. It is caught for the touchdown.
Zach escapes pressure. Zach tucks it and runs. Zach Wilson's loose. Zach Wilson's running. He's got all day. He stays in bounds. Zach Wilson cuts it. Zach Wilson gets in the end zone for the touchdown.
Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. And today I want to preview free agency for the New York Jets because, as we know, free agency officially begins a week from today. Well, the new league officially begins next week at this time. Free agency technically opens on Monday when the GMs are legally allowed to talk with agents. So in this stream, I want to get into the chat, talk to you guys, and basically preview all the players that are going to be available on the market for the New York Jets to dabble with, and who are we going to re-sign? Who are we going to sign? Who are going to be the newest members of the New York Jets next week? So we got some breaking news to talk about the New York Jets. They went out there and they re-signed one of their own players. The first move of the New York Jets offseason is re-signing Conor McDermott to a one-year deal. This is our tight end number one. We all know what happened with Conor McDermott in that game where he went out there and had that crazy touchdown from Zach Wilson. That was so much fun to watch. But I really feel like this move just shows you that Joe Douglas is continuing to prioritize the offensive line and try to keep continuity somewhere. He's a versatile guy that's been on the Jets. Now he's going to his fourth season. And yeah, it's just a depth move. It's not a crazy move that's going to break the, earth-shattering breaking news about the New York Jets. No one's going to be popping champagne about this one. But this is just a really good sign that the Jets are continuing to add depth at the offensive line position, and I feel like Joe Douglas needed to get this done. It's a no-brainer because with Morgan Moses as a pending free agent, there's not really a lot of people on the market that I feel like Joe Douglas is going to go out there and pay a lot of money. And is Morgan Moses going to be back on the New York Jets? If I had to guess, I don't think so. I think last year was a really good sample size of Morgan Moses. He's a rock. He's durable. He's a really good player. And I just feel like he's going to get paid a lot of money elsewhere, unfortunately, for the New York Jets. So it's definitely important for the Jets to bring back Conor McDermott on a one-year deal for depth purposes. And let's hope that Conor McDermott does not see the field at all this coming year, because that means that Mekhi Becton and George Fant are healthy all season long, because that's the best case scenario. So yeah, guys, welcome into the stream. We're just getting started. Make sure you smash that like button on your way in. We're going to be previewing all of the Jets free agent targets. As you can see on the board right here, I have a lot of players on my board that I want to break down and hear your opinions. And then I can even ask you guys, hey, are there any players you want me to add to the board of the Jets Media Jets free agent targets? Because as you can see right now, I got Carlton Davis, Bobby Wagner, Foy Sade, Allen Robinson, DJ Chark, Ryan Jensen, Lincoln Tomlinson, James Daniels, Marcus Williams, Justin Reed, Gerald Everett, and Tyler Conklin. So these are the big list of players that I feel like Jets fans need to keep an eye on for some players that should be on the Jets radar. Not saying they're going to sign every single one of these players, obviously. There's going to be a lot of players that are not on this list that the Jets go out there and sign. But all the players on the list right here, I'd be okay with signing, to be honest with. I feel like that's why I want to show you where I'm at when it comes to free agency. And there's a lot of different range from these players. And obviously there's other players that are hitting the open market that we have to keep an eye on. Now, when it comes to the free agent market for the Jets' sakes, as we know, we just saw McDermott, which I just broke down. But what's going to happen with Braxton Berrios? The latest news on Braxton Berrios is the Jets have an offer for him on the table that they feel like is going to be a valuable offer to bring Braxton Berrios back. But Braxton Berrios wants to test the open market. He wants to see where his value is at, to see if there's a team out there that's going to pay him more money than what the New York Jets are offering him. We do not know what type of contract Braxton Berrios is being offered from the New York Jets, but as of right now, the New York Jets have submitted their final offer, apparently a rumor on Twitter. And let's see if Braxton Berrios will be back. We'll find that out next week. So we will see. Let me know your guys' thoughts about anything in the chat when it comes to free agency, because there's a lot to break down in the stream of some players that I want the New York Jets to go out there and bring in. The free agency game plan is going to be crazy because there's so many players that are hitting the open market. And if you want to break down some players that are unfortunately franchise tagged by other teams that are not going to be hitting the open market that I really wanted the New York Jets to sign is tight end Dalton Schultz, safety Jesse Bates, another tight end David Njoku. There's a lot of guys that are not hitting the open market that we all were anticipating or at least hopeful for. I feel like a lot of Jets fans, we all knew that Dalton Schultz and Jesse Bates were probably going to get franchise tag, but we still wanted to talk about them. We still wanted to say, hey, maybe the Jets can get him if they hit the open market. So all in all, I feel like the two tight ends that I'm looking out for are Gerald Everett and Tyler Conklin, especially with both David Njoku and Mike Gesicki, throw him in there, forgot about him, and Dalton Schultz all getting the franchise tag by their respective organizations. So these are the two tight ends that you see on the list that I feel like the Jets should definitely be interested in bringing in, because there's no doubt about that the New York Jets have to sign at least one or two tight ends in the open market and then go out there in the draft and draft one or two tight ends as well. I think we can all agree that this is the worst position group on the entire team, no doubt about it. And Tyler Kroft is a pending free agent. Are they going to re-sign him? Are they going to let him walk? Are they going to replace him with someone? Let me know. We'll see. And then obviously there's other stuff to talk about that's not free agency related, which is the trade market. I made a video yesterday about DK Metcalf. We found out that the Russell Wilson trade went crazy. There's some rumors and speculation that the Seattle Seahawks are fielding calls about DK Metcalf. And we do not know who is calling the Seattle Seahawks. But if I'm the Joe Douglas New York Jets, I'm calling Seattle and saying, hey, what do you want for DK? And then non-Jets related news, we all know what happened today. More NFL craziness. Carson Wentz traded to the Washington Commanders. Pretty crazy. What are you guys' thoughts about that trade? We get the Indianapolis Colts are a very interesting team, man. This is gonna be their fourth or fifth straight year with the new quarterback. They've been quarterback purgatory ever since Andrew Luck announced his retirement. It'll be really interesting to see where the Indianapolis Colts go with their new quarterback in 2022. So there's a lot of guys that I'm really excited to break down in this stream, guys. If you're just tuning in, make sure you smash that like button. We're just getting started on today's Jets Media free agency preview live stream. We got 66 of you guys in here with 23 likes. Let's get the 50 likes by 4:30, and we will do some great things on the channel. Appreciate you guys. And also, if you guys want to let me know in the chat, are there any players that you do not see on this list that you feel like I should add to the list? Because there's some players that are obviously not going to be able to fit. I'm not going to bring up every single free agent available on the market, but I definitely want to talk about every single player on the market. So let's get into the chat. What's the chat looking like? Welcome in, everybody. We got TJ in the chat. What up, Ninja? Woke, Prestige Shogun, Boycott. Matthias, George, Woke. George again. Nick, what's good, man? George, we got all the boys and girls in the chat, man. I love it. So I see some people in the chat are saying, Richie, don't forget about Robert Tonyan. He's a tight end to keep an eye on. Definitely. Did he get hurt really bad for the Packers last year? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Tonyan's another player. Zach Ertz is another tight end to looking out for. Hayden Hurts. Yeah, guys, there's a lot of tight ends outside of Gerald Everett and Tyler Conklin for sure. Those are just the two players that I just came to my mind when it comes to the free agent tight end market. Carlton Davis. I want to get your guys' thoughts about Carlton Davis. Do you feel like the New York Jets should go out there and give him a contract to bring him into the New York Jets and be our CB number one? Because he's a player that's very interesting. He's obviously a Super Bowl champion. He's coming from the Todd Bowles system. He's very young, which is why I feel like Joe Douglas would be very intrigued to bring him in. If you look at Joe Douglas's track record when it comes to free agency, the only players he's going to sign to like a 3 or 4 year deal is most likely a player that's 24, 25, 26 years old. Last year, that was our two big signings was Carl Lawson and Corey Davis. Both of those players are getting off the rookie deal, and they were entering free agency for the first time, getting their second contract, and that's what Joe Douglas likes to do. He doesn't really like to pay big-time players when they're, after their second contract and when they're 29, 30 years old. So I feel like Carlton Davis is definitely a player that Jets fans should look out for. And then that brings up another cornerback that's hitting the open market that you do not see on this list, and I did not list him on purpose, and that's J.C. Jackson from the New England Patriots. He is moving on for the Patriots most likely. He did not get franchise tagged. He's hitting the open market, and I feel like he's about to get a bag. J.C. Jackson is trying to be the highest paid corner in the NFL, which he probably deserves because what he did last year was crazy. 8 interceptions. Were all 8 of them against the Jets? Did you guys feel like you go look up J.C. Jackson highlights and you'll see like 5 interceptions against the Jets, all against Zach Wilson and even Mike White. Pretty depressing stuff right there. But I do not see the Jets getting J.C. Jackson simply because of the money that is asking for. That is a move that the Jets would make if they're one piece away from being a contender, which we are not. We have holes all over this roster. And from being frankly honest with you guys, at safety, tight end, edge rusher, interior offensive line, you name it, we all know that there is a lot of players that the New York Jets need to bring in here before we can be considered a Super Bowl contender. Can you imagine whenever that happens, like it's a known thing, like, wow, the Jets, they're a Super Bowl contender. Can that just happen already? Like, why do I have to wait my entire 23 years of my life for that to happen and counting? It's not even here yet. Damn it. So Carlton Davis is a player to look out for. And when it comes to the linebackers, Bobby Wagner also got released by the Seahawks yesterday, which is another crazy move from the Seahawks. Now, the interesting thing about Bobby Wagner is, if you guys don't know, Robert Saleh was on the Seattle Seahawks coaching staff when they went to the Super Bowl that year with the Legion of Boom. So Robert Saleh has some familiarity with Bobby Wagner, and Bobby Wagner would fit the system. So if the Jets want to get a veteran alongside CJ Mosley to bring that Super Bowl pedigree, bring that veteran presence in the locker room, and Bobby Wagner wants to go to an up-and-coming defense that's, trying to find their identity, then I would not be shocked that Bobby Wagner would be interested with the Jets. But at the same time, it probably would make more sense for Bobby Wagner to go to a win-now team, a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl next year. So I don't really see Bobby Wagner as a realistic option, but it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. But then again, we already have CJ Mosley, who is that Pro Bowl, veteran guy that is our linebacker. So I feel like getting Bobby Wagner would just add 2 veterans instead of I feel like the Jets are trying to get, CJ Mosley with a young player to develop behind him, such as Quincy Williams, Jamie Sherwood, Hamza Nasruddin. And then that brings me to the next player on the list that I have is Foyesade Alokun from the Atlanta Falcons. He is a player that's hitting the open market that was with the Atlanta Falcons when Jeff Ulbrich was the interim defensive coordinator over there. So he's a system fit. He's a young player that I feel like is only getting better and better. And that's a player to look out for. If the Jets want to bring in a player that is probably not hit his peak yet at the linebacker position. As we know, we did whiff on the Jared Davis signing last year. He was nothing crazy. And the year before that, it was Patrick Onawasu. So Joe Douglas has handed out linebacker 1-year deals that are not panned out. So maybe Foyesade is that linebacker that the Jets bring in on a 1-year deal or maybe a 2-year deal. I feel like that would make a lot of sense just because of the system fit and also the familiarity with the offense, with the defense. And I feel like he's an underrated player in the NFL, in my opinion. And then some wide receivers I brought up. Allen Robinson. What are your guys' thoughts? Is Allen Robinson a player that you want the New York Jets to consider in free agency? Because the big question is, how are the New York Jets going to get a number 1 receiver? I feel like the best case scenario for the Jets is Corey Davis is wide receiver 3 going into the season. Now, I don't know how we're going to get that number 1 or number 2 receiver, whether that's free agency or the trade or the draft, but that needs to be the case. Whether it's either Allen Robinson in free agency, or it's DK Metcalf in the trade market, or it's Garrett Wilson or Treylon Burks or someone from the draft that will fill in that role. We desperately need another big-time wide receiver alongside Elijah Moore and Corey Davis to really make sure Zach Wilson has all his weapons. DJ Chark is a very interesting player to consider as well. He's more of that. I feel like if we do sign him and Keelan Cole walks, he would replace that role of a wide receiver number 4, wide receiver 5, provide depth, a player that will come in on some packages but not be a focal point of the offense. I feel like DJ Chark, I think he was injured a lot last year, but he's a young player that has shown a lot of flashes in the NFL. And I feel like he's a player that the Jets should definitely consider. He's a deep threat, speedy guy. When he's healthy, he's a difference maker. And I would love DJ Chark on the Jets for sure. Amari Cooper is obviously another player that I don't know why I left off this list. I definitely should add Amari Cooper. But he also was not officially released from the Dallas Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, let's add Amari Cooper to the list. Anybody else you feel like I should add to the list, let me know. I saw someone said CJ Uzama from the Bengals. That's definitely a player that I would consider for sure. All right, here we go. Just adding that. All right. Amari Cooper added to the list. Do you guys want Amari Cooper? Let me know in the chat. I love hearing what everybody has to say because next week is about to be crazy. Next week is about to be crazy, everybody. Make sure you stay tuned because I'm going to be live like the entire week. I'm live right now, as you can see. But on Monday, I'm going to be live right when free agency starts at noon. I'm going to be live all day. And I'll probably be live like all day, every day throughout the entire free agency week. So make sure you guys stay tuned. I'll be live breaking all the news, talking about what's going to be happening, refreshing Twitter, reacting to all the NFL free agency buzz around the league. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited. Free agency is one of my favorite parts of the NFL outside of the draft, obviously. Wake with a $2 donation. Thank you. No, not Wake. Woke has sent me a $2 donation. Thank you so much, Woke Hogan. I appreciate you, my man. Amari Cooper, greater than Allen Robinson. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Amari Cooper is a better player than Allen Robinson. I don't think that's an opinion. I think that's a fact. I think we all know that. But the big question is, what type of money is Amari Cooper going to be demanding? And he's older. So that's the thing. You know, Amari Cooper is 27, 28. And listen, I'm all for Amari Cooper. Like, I would love Amari Cooper. I don't know why I forgot to put him in on the board right here. But now he's there. But hey, I would love Amari Cooper on the Jets. I feel like that would be the wide receiver number 1, Elijah Moore number 2, Corey Davis number 3. That's 3 receivers that have 1,000-yard potential. You know, Corey Davis, before he came to the Jets on the Titans, he had 984 yards, like 15 yards shy of a 1,000-yard season. Elijah Moore last year in the 5 games right before he got injured at the end of the season, he was on pace to have over 1,000 yards if you stretch that out to a 17-game span. And Amari Cooper, if he's healthy all season long, he's an 1,000-yard receiver. Not saying that we're going to have 3 1,000-yard receivers on the same team if we get Amari Cooper, but we have 3 guys that have the ability to put up those big-time numbers. For example, look at the Cincinnati Bengals and what they've done with Joe Burrow. They literally have 3 number 1 receivers on their roster with Jamar Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. Obviously, Chase is the better of the 3, but they're all number 1 receivers, where if you bring in T. Higgins on another team, he's a big-time weapon on that roster. But since Jamar Chase and Boyd's there, it really opens up the offense so much. So the New York Jets need to make sure that they surround Zach Wilson with another big-time receiver, whether that's in free agency or the draft, no doubt. Now, when it comes to the offensive line, if there's one position that I feel like the New York Jets are going to be really aggressive in free agency, that's interior offensive line. I think that the New York Jets are going to be really aggressive in Ryan Jensen, Laken Tomlinson, and James Daniels. Other guys like Brandon Scherf, you can say, even Connor Williams. I really feel like the interior offensive line is a big thing that the New York Jets and Joe Douglas are going to be prioritizing. Because one thing that we have to remember is Joe Douglas's first free agency with the New York Jets, he gave 3-year contracts to Connor McGovern, George Fant, and Greg Van Roten. Those were his 3 veterans that he brought in on the offensive line. Now, all 3 of them are entering the last year of their deal. We're expecting Greg Van Roten to be cut, but he has not been cut yet. Connor McGovern, you could cut him now and save $9 million in cap space, but the only way you cut him is if you bring in a Ryan Jensen. So what I'm trying to say is this offensive line has 2 players on this offensive line that we feel comfortable saying that are long-term pieces in Mekhi Becton and Elijah Vera-Tucker. But outside of them, there's a lot of question marks. Connor McGovern, is he the long-term answer at center? I don't think so. George Fant, is he the long-term answer at tackle? I don't think so. And that right guard spot's a big-time hole. So what I'm trying to say is Joe Douglas really needs to make sure that he gets another couple veterans in the building on 3-year contracts to continue to have continuity on this offensive line. We need to plug in a guy at right guard in free agency. I would love, for example, James Daniels. Like, if he really wanted to bolster up this offensive line in free agency, where we don't have to worry about offensive line at all early in the draft, imagine if he cuts Connor McGovern, signs Ryan Jensen, and signs James Daniels. Like, we have the cap in order to do that. And then all of a sudden, our offensive line goes from like good to potentially really good, potentially elite, because Ryan Jensen is the best center in the NFL, Super Bowl winner over there. So hypothetically speaking, that's Mekhi Becton at left tackle if he wins the job, obviously. AVT at left guard, Jensen at center, Daniels at right guard, Fant at right tackle. hey, I just solved the offensive line. But obviously, we need to make sure it's unrealistic because Ryan Jensen is probably going to be returning to the Buccaneers. There's a lot of people that are interested in him. But that's just an example of what the New York Jets could do in this free agency market when it comes to this interior offensive line. Because the last thing the Jets should want to do is go into the draft with a gaping hole at right guard, because then we're kind of handicapping ourselves and we have to draft offensive line in the first round. I kind of want it to be like where, all right, we don't have to take Aquanu or Neal at number 4, but if they're there, we'll take them, instead of like, oh my God, we have to take them because there is nobody on this offensive line that's part of the future. So that's really where I'm at with the offensive line. Expect them to sign a swing tackle, especially if Morgan Moses walks in free agency, because we need to make sure that we have a third tackle alongside Becton and George Fant. If one of them goes down, we need to have somebody to fill into their space, because last year we were so lucky that Morgan Moses was signed in the summer, because without Morgan Moses getting signed, we would have been doomed with Mekhi Becton going out for the entire season. George Fant slides out at the left tackle. Morgan Moses comes in at right tackle. The offensive line did a really good job opening up holes and protecting Zach Wilson. Not a really good job, but I think they did a decent job last year, and John Benton was a big reason for that, our offensive line coach. So that's my thoughts about the offensive line. And when it comes to the safeties, we got Marcus Williams, Justin Reed to talk about. I feel like these are two players that the New York Jets would 100% be interested in. Obviously, Marcus Williams is going to be a player that you'd have to pay a lot of money to. I think he's worth it. If the Jets really want to open up the bank and bolster up the safety and bolster up the secondary, I would love to get a guy in Marcus Williams. But I just don't know if Joe Douglas is willing to spend a lot of money on a safety. I really don't know if that's what Joe Douglas's mindset is. Does he prioritize the safety position? Because so far, Joe Douglas, he franchise tagged Marcus May last year. He gave LaMarcus Jr. a 1-year deal, which we barely saw him play on the Jets. He's drafted Ashton Davis in the 3rd round, and he traded away Jamal Adams. So I don't know if safety is a big time priority for the Jets in terms of financial perspective, but I really hope that the New York Jets bring in a safety, big time safety in the free agency market, whether that is Marcus Williams. Hey, even in the Honey Badgers available if you want to throw the bag at a player of that caliber. Justin Reed is a player that you would not have to pay that much money for, but he definitely is a young upcoming player. But his big time negative is he does miss a lot of tackles, and the Jets are one of the worst teams in the NFL in stopping the run. And the last thing you want is your safety to not be a good tackler, because you need to make sure your safety is a player that stops those breakaway runs from the opposing running backs to go all the way to the end zone. When it gets into the next level, you're really you have to make sure that your safeties in the secondary, the ones that stops those big time runs if they get past the first level of the trenches and the linebackers, obviously. And then the tight end market, that's a really interesting question, because I said it earlier in the stream. We all know that the tight end market is going to be, in the draft, it's going to be rich for the Jets, at least we hope. But when it comes to free agency, it kind of stinks that Dalton Schultz is off the table, Njoku and Gesicki, those 3 guys, nope, New York Jets don't even have a shot. So Gerald Everett is a player that I feel like would fit the system for the Jets. He'd be an immediate upgrade over Tyler Kroft. I would actually love Gerald Everett. He would not be a flashy player. He would not be someone that's going to take this Jets offense to another level. He's not going to be someone that puts up 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. But I feel like if the Jets want to bring in a veteran on a 1-year cheap deal, Gerald Everett is definitely someone to look out for. And Tyler Conklin, the veteran from the Vikings, he's another guy that's established. Both of these guys are better than any tight end we've had on the roster in so long, because that's how bad this position has been. It's pretty embarrassing. And there's other guys like Robert Tonyan. I think Max Williams is available. Who else? Zach Ertz, if you really want to go the veteran route, the established veteran in Zach Ertz. There's a lot of guys that's going to be available in the tight end market that Joe Douglas is 100% going to sign. We just don't know who it's going to be yet. And keep an eye out, man, because I feel like Joe Douglas has to prioritize the tight end room. He drafted a wide receiver and a running back last year. He has not drafted a tight end yet. He signed them in undrafted free agency, but Joe Douglas has yet to draft a tight end. And you can tell that it's a big problem that Joe Douglas is yet to draft a tight end, because as we're sitting here right now, I don't like our tight end room one bit. Tyler Kroft walking out the door probably. Ryan Griffin later for you. Kenny Yeboah, I hope that he can do something, but I don't want to have confidence in Kenny Yeboah being the number 1 tight end. But the good news about the tight end room Conor McDermott got re-signed to a 1-year deal, and that's our number 1 tight end, baby. So maybe the tight end room might be better than I'm giving credit for, because we got Conor McDermott back. We got Conor McDermott back. Let's do it. I'm liking safety Hart from the Niners, and can get him for $5 million per year. He loves Salah and runs the 49ers D. Yeah, this is definitely a player that I will look out for. See, like, I would not be shocked if the Jets just don't go out there and go scheme fits. Like, obviously you don't want to bring a player in just because he's a scheme fit and he's not a good football player. He doesn't fit the culture that we're trying to establish here with the Jets. But Tart is a player that was very successful for the Niners with Salah there. So I would not be shocked. He is a free agent, so you never know. Jody will draft safety similarly to how we drafted CB last year. Strong safety class. Yeah, I hope so, man. I really do hope so. I feel like this safety class is definitely strong. I just don't know if we're going to draft one in the 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, 1st round, Kyle Hamilton. I mean, we don't know where they're going to go with the safety market, but there's no doubt in my mind that the Jets are going to be signing and drafting a safety. Both. Please. Jets Gang says Marcus Williams, that's my number 1 free agent want. Yeah, he's a big-time player that is hitting the open market, and he's definitely not returning to the Saints. I mean, they're in cap hell. Am I right? My Dolphins wants Wagner. Who y'all guys want in free agency? Yeah, Road Runner supporting the Fins Nation in the chat. Yeah, Jets fans want a lot of people. If you look at the list right here are my top free agent targets for the Jets. Allen Robinson's a player. Amari Cooper's a player I would love. When it comes to the offensive line, I would love James Daniels. I just feel like he is a perfect Joe Douglas guy, and I would be shocked if he's not a Jet, to be honest. Bring him in on a 3-year deal, $8 million per year. That's get it over with, Bring him in. Another player that I want to talk about in terms of Jets re-signing is LDT. We need to make sure that Larnay Tardif is back on the Jets for multiple reasons. I mean, we need depth on the offensive line, and right now, Greg Van Roten is still on the Jets, but I think we're all expecting the Jets to cut him. They haven't done it yet, so I don't know what they're waiting for, but we're expecting that to happen. And if that does happen, it opens up a big hole at that right guard spot. Excuse me. And we got some cap space in order to fill in that gap. You know what I mean? Whew. So, guys, we're just getting started here on the Jets Media Free Agency Preview. I'm really excited about this. I'm sure you guys are. It's finally here. 1 week from now, we're going to be talking about the Jets signings. Gotta stay hydrated, guys. Always stay hydrated. I drink like too much water. But hey, next week, I said this on my channel earlier, but I see a lot of people just tuning in for the first time. If you're just tuning in, guys, welcome in. Make sure you smash that like button for your boy. Greatly appreciate that. Help me get to 100 likes by the end of the stream. But next week, stay tuned because I'm going to be live all week long. Does anybody remember last year's free agency on my channel? Was anybody here? Does anybody remember in the chat of the free agency frenzy that I had on the channel last year? Because we were live for hours and hours and hours waiting for stuff to go crazy, waiting for the Jets to sign people. And then when I got off the stream is when we signed players. That's what happened last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but I'll be doing it again this year, baby. We will be live all day Monday, all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday. It's going to be a crazy, crazy stuff for the New York Jets here on Jets Media, breaking all the news. Once we sign right guard, GVR will be cut. I hope so. Why does everyone like Allen Robinson? He got outproduced by Cole Kmet, who is not a top 15 tight end, and Mooney, not 30. I feel like me personally, my take on Allen Robinson is he was a product of a bad offense and a bad quarterback play. And yes, he definitely was not, those two players you mentioned had better numbers than him. But if you look at Allen Robinson's like career numbers, I mean, he's no scrub. I don't think he's regressing as a player. I just feel like he's been trying to get out of Chicago for so long, and he's finally hitting the open market. And I feel like a fresh start for Allen Robinson would be a big thing for him personally. And I feel like the Jets make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Bringing in a veteran that is a big-bodied guy that can bring in the ball, that is a sideline guy, he's a decent route runner. He's good hands. He's reliable. And giving Zach Wilson another weapon. I feel like that would make a lot of sense. What do you think about Bradlee Anae? So, yeah, the Jets brought him in at the end of the season from the Cowboys, I believe. I feel like this is an underrated player that Jets fans need to keep an eye out for of competing for the edge rusher spot. I feel like he's going to be providing depth. And going into training camp, I'm excited to see what he does. I don't know if he's going to be a starter. I don't know if he's going to make the roster. He could be a practice squad guy. But hey, he could make the roster, make an impact. I mean, because we got a big hole at the edge rusher spot. Outside of Carl Lawson, we have who? Bryce Huff, who is decent. And Anae, obviously. John Franklin Myers, he's an edge D tackle. But we all know that we need to draft an edge rusher early in this draft. No doubt about it. First round or bust, in my opinion. I want the Jets to draft an edge rusher in the first round at number 4 or number 10 if I had to be a player. So guys, we're just getting started here on the Jets Media free agency preview. As you can see, we got a list right here of all the players that the New York Jets should be targeting. In my opinion, is that if there's any other players that you want me to add to the list that you do not see here, that you feel like the New York Jets could be signing in free agency, let me know, because I would love to add it. I can add to this list whenever I want. And there's just so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about when it comes to the Jets in free agency, because who are we going to throw the bag at? We all know that Joe Douglas will be signing the one-year deals here and there to supplement the roster. But I have a feeling that he's going to open up the bank for at least 1 or 2 players. His 2 big free agent signings last year was Carl Lawson and Corey Davis. And we'll see if he does it again. In terms of this year, is it going to be an edge? Is it going to be a wide receiver? Is it going to be a safety? Because when I had Will on the channel yesterday, he had something interesting to say, that what he's been hearing around the league and from the Jets is that they are looking to get 2 new safeties and a number 1 corner. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to do that all in free agency, but when it comes to the free agency class and the draft class, they want to make sure that they get 2 new safeties and a number 1 cornerback alongside Bryce Hall. So if I'm the Jets, say hypothetically they do this. They go out there and they sign Marcus Williams. They throw the bag at him. And then when it comes to the draft, we draft Sauce Gardner in the first round, and then we draft a safety like Jalen Petrie later on, or a Brisker, or a Lewisine, or a safety. And then we have Marcus Williams, a safety that is a rookie with him. We have Bryce Hall and Sauce Gardner. Boom! Secondary solved. Secondary solved. I just did it. You heard it here first. Sauce Gardner, Bryce Hall, Marcus Williams, and Jalen Petrie. Come on. Let's do it. Listen, that's the only route that I feel. And obviously Sauce Gardner is not a lock for the Jets in the first round. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's probably one of my biggest draft crushes right now that I want the Jets to bring in the draft, but a lot has to go our way because there's no way he falls to the number 10, and I don't know if the Jets are going to consider drafting him at number 4. You feel me? So that's where I'm at right now when it comes to the Jets in the free agency market and when it comes to them revamping that secondary, because we know that the system is all about prioritizing the defensive line, prioritizing the pass rush, all about getting to the quarterback, and pass rush is what breaks free of the secondary. Like, the secondary doesn't have to do that much because the pass rush is basically what is the focal point of this defensive system. And last year, the defensive system was trash because the pass rush wasn't there. Carl Lawson was out for the entire year. Vinny Curry was out for the entire year. I mean, that's what a lot of people need to remember about last year is, yes, you can't really throw the injury excuse bug around, but at the same time, we literally lost our 2 starting edge rushers before the season began. And that is the most important part of this team. Joe Douglas invested a lot of money in one of those edge rushers in Carl Lawson, and he ruptures his damn Achilles in training camp. I mean, you can't even make that up. That was ridiculous. So the number one priority in the free agency market for Joe Douglas, in my opinion, is bring in players who are durable. Players that know how to stay healthy. Obviously, you can't predict. Someone that's durable can get injured flukily. Someone can land on your foot, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, please, whoever we sign in free agency, just stay healthy for a season. For like 14 games to stay healthy. Like, nothing ever goes our way when it comes to health for the New York Jets. Hold on one second. Need to get something over here. Alrighty, so let me know your guys' thoughts in the chat about any free agent targets you want me to talk about. Anything that you feel like the Jets should be considering. Any players you don't see over here on the list. Obviously, I already went through the list. We got Carlton Davis, who is going to be hitting the open market as a young, upcoming cornerback from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bobby Wagner hitting the open market as a veteran from the Seattle Seahawks. Foy Sade from the Falcons, who I think is a young, upcoming linebacker that is familiar with the system. Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, DJ Chark, all wide receivers to consider. Interior offensive line, Ryan Jensen, Lincoln Tomlinson, James Daniels, of course. Marcus Williams and Justin Reed are the two safeties. Gerald Everett and Tyler Conklin. You can also add Zach Ertz. You can add a lot of different players from this list. So I just feel like we have to expect the unexpected. Does that make any sense? Because how many times have I talked about this player or that player going into offseason and it never happens? Like, ever. Besides Elijah Vera Tucker. Haha, got that one right. And we all knew Zach Wilson was the pick at number 2. But what I'm trying to say is we are all fans that want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. And when it comes to free agency, nothing really goes our way in terms of what we want. So let's hope that whatever happens, I don't care if we want it or not. Let's just hope that it's the right move. And the reality is we're not going to know if these are the right moves until like after next season. You know what I mean? So that's what this is all about. When it comes to the positions where I feel like we're going to be the most aggressive in is definitely tight end. Like the two positions that I want the New York Jets to make sure that they go with this approach in terms of going into the season with a starting group of a rookie and a veteran from free agency. That's the safeties and the tight ends. I want a veteran tight end and a rookie tight end going into next season, right? For example, Gerald Everett, Trey McBride, Zach Ertz, Jeremy Ruckert. That type of combination is what I want. Safeties, we need to get Marcus Williams, for example, Justin Reed, for example, Tyrann Mathieu, for example. Pair him up with the rookie that we drafted, like a Kyle Hamilton. I'm kidding. Or a Petrie, or a Lewisine, or a Brisker. I mean, the list goes on. Brian Cook. I mean, there's a lot of safeties in this. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say here about those two positions, because if you look at last year, the New York Jets did the same exact approach with positions of need, right? Wide receiver, position of need. What did we do? We went out there free agency. We signed Corey Davis, and then we went out there in the draft, and we drafted Elijah Moore. That's a veteran and a rookie. See what I'm saying here? This is what Joe Douglas has been known to do. And then same thing with the running back position last year. What did Joe Douglas do? He brings in Tevin Coleman as the veteran presence that knows the system. What does he do in the draft? He drafts Michael Carter. That's the running back room. A rookie and Michael Carter, a veteran and Tevin Coleman. And then in his first draft class for the New York Jets, his first offseason with the New York Jets, rather, what does Joe Douglas do? He goes out there, he signs George Fant as the veteran tackle, and then he drafts Mekhi Becton, the rookie and the vet. So there is a very common thread through all of Joe Douglas's moves, and I feel like that's what I'm expecting with the positions of need, like safety and tight end, is signing one and drafting one. It's not rocket science. It's not like I'm just cracking the code of, whoa, imagine they did this. Like, it's obvious, right? It's obvious that that's what they should do. So that's what we should expect, right? But the big question is, who the hell is it going to be? Who's it going to be? Now, Anthony says, don't expect JD to spend money. He is a bargain GM. Exactly. I'm not expecting Joe Douglas to spend a lot of money because I think it would be a mistake for Joe Douglas to spend a lot of money. Because if Joe Douglas and there's a difference between spending a lot of money and spending a lot of money on one or two players, right? Joe Douglas, when it comes to a bargain GM, he'd rather supplement the roster with like B-level free agents, like with 5 B-level free agents, then go all in and use all the money on those 5 guys instead of pouring it into 2 guys. Does that make sense? Instead of paying J.C. Jackson a 5-year, $100-something million or whatever he's going to get, a crazy contract, and signing a guy like Amari Cooper or some like overpaying for him or anybody. You know what I'm saying, right? I just feel like Joe Douglas is not in the right situation to do that yet. He's trying to maintain cap flexibility for future free agencies. So when we are ready to go and we are 1 or 2 players away, then we can start paying some money to some players. Then we can start sacrificing all of our cap into one premier player. That's what Joe Douglas is doing, and I agree with that. Because the past GMs, the past regimes for the New York Jets, right? What have they done? Mike Maccagnan, we have the most cap space in the league. All right, all that money is going to CJ Mosley. All that money is going to Le'Veon Bell. Let's go win some ball games, right? It's that easy. Star power will win us ball games. Tremaine Johnson on the market. B-level player on the free agent market. Sign him to an A-level contract. We all know how that happened. So that's what I'm trying to say is I respect Joe Douglas when it comes to this approach because he understands that we're not going to win through free agency. And nobody should win through free agency. That's how you set your team back. So that's my approach to this. And Jose brings up a great point. Joe D spent the 4th most cap dollars last year. And it doesn't feel like that to some people, but it's true. He doesn't put it all into a couple players like the stars that we all want. Instead, he supplements the roster and spreads it around, but he still spends a lot of money. And we do have the top 5 in cap space again this year. And I do think that we're going to be top 10 in cap space next year because that's what Joe Douglas is known as a GM is he has a long-term vision for this team where he wants to maintain cap flexibility so he can be aggressive whenever he wants instead of, having your hands tied back behind his back when, all of a sudden a big-time player is available in the free agency market and we're not able to get him because we sacrificed it a year ago when we weren't ready. You know what I mean? But then I will say, at the same time, Joe Douglas needs to make sure he's aggressive, and we have to start winning ball games like now. Not this season, but with Zach Wilson under his rookie contract, like when Zach Wilson's in year 3 and year 4 of his rookie deal, that is when Joe Douglas needs to get aggressive and go out there and get the big fish and go out there and make some big trades and go out there and open up the bank. We're not there yet. I'm sorry to give you guys this because it's not what you want to hear, but the reality is we are not a football team right now that is in any sort of position to pay a guy, for example, in J.C. Jackson. We're not a team that is 1 or 2 players away from the Super Bowl. If you're a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, they are an offensive line away from winning the damn thing. So they should throw all of the money they have at Ryan Jensen, at James Daniels, draft every offense. You know what I mean? Like they are a team that is an offensive line and a couple players on defense away. I mean, hell, they went to the Super Bowl last year somehow. This past year. So that's really my thoughts about Joe Douglas's approach in free agency. And we have to tame our expectations that he's not going to be paying top dollars for players, which is why I feel like Amari Cooper might not be an option for us because of based on the money. And which is why I feel like Allen Robinson would be a good option for the Jets because I don't think he's going to be asking for a lot of money based on what he did last year. His level of what am I trying to say? Allen Robinson last year, his production was not that great. So I feel like his value is at an all-time low, which is why if I'm the Jets, I would go out there and bring him in on a 1 or 2 year deal. or 3-year deal where he can get out of it after year number 2. Because that's the contract we gave Corey Davis last year, guys. If you don't, like, you can't just look at a contract and think, like, oh, 3-year deal, that much money, we're screwed for 3 years. That's not how it works. Joe Douglas's contract so far has been all front-loaded where we can get out of it after, like, a couple years. So, for example, say Corey Davis this year stinks it up again, or he's injured all year, and we're like, Corey Davis stinks, man. We don't want him on the roster next year. We can get out of his contract with ease after next year. John Franklin Myers, I know some Jets fans are upset we re-signed him. I don't understand that, because if John Franklin Myers was not re-signed, he'd be a free agent right now, and all of a sudden our defensive line would be pretty crap without JFM, Foley Fatukasi. Then we would just have Carl Lawson and Quinnen, and a big-time hole would be on the D-line. And the John Franklin Myers contract that Joe Douglas gave him, it might look like a gigantic deal, right? $55 million, 3 years. Whoa, that's an overpay. No, it's not an overpay. It's a player that is ascending, and we can also get out of the contract after this year if anything goes wrong. Say John Franklin Myers just stinks it up, and he did hit his peak, and he's regressing as a player, and we do not want him on the roster after next year. Guess what? The Jets can get out of it without any dead cap hit. So I'm trying to remind everybody that Joe Douglas's contracts that he's been handing out has been really great for the long-term cap flexibility mindset that he has. And John Franklin Myers, yes, played out of position, Anthony. You are 100% correct, and he still put up a very productive season. He was dominant at some point. I mean, look at the tape. The tape don't lie. Go look up John Franklin Myers' tape, and there's not a play he takes off. He plays with a high motor. He's a high character guy, and we are lucky that we re-signed him. I'm going to say that again. He is probably one of the most underrated players on this entire defense, if I had to say, John Franklin Myers. And if he did not get that extension in the middle of the season, and he's about to hit the open market right now, he would be getting more money than what we gave him on another team. And all of a sudden, the Jets are going to have Foley Fatukasi walking, Nathan Shepard walking, Franklin Myers walking, and then our defensive line is like, what are we going to do? All of a sudden, are we going to be talking about drafting a D tackle in the first round? No. We got John Franklin Myers locked up, which is a phenomenal move from Joe Douglas at the time. He took care of his players. And that's another good thing about John Franklin Myers is John Franklin Myers is a player. What I'm trying to say, sorry, let me backtrack. Joe Douglas extending John Franklin Myers really sets a tone for the rest of the players in the Jets organization, where if you put in effort and if you are doing everything that we're asking you of, the Jets will take care of you financially. And that is the type of standard that I really wanted to see from Joe Douglas, because that was a big question of mine about him at first. Is Douglas really that fragile? Like, is he really that cheap? Is he not going to be paying players? Like, we need to make sure Joe Douglas takes care of our own players. And I was getting worried, but that extension to JFM proved that he's a GM that's going to take care of his own players. And I love that. All right, let's get into the chat. Mike says, Richie, Zach Ertz tight end along with draft McBride and Ferguson. Hey, I would love that. Here, I'm going to add Zach Ertz to the list because he's definitely a player that I would like on the Jets. Here, I'll replace him with Tyler Conklin, right? I feel like nobody really wants to hear that name, but watch. He's going to be a Jet now. He's going to be like, hey, I remember when Richie had Tyler Conklin on his little list on his free agency preview last week. Hey, you never know. Let's see. Zach Ertz. Any other players you want me to add to the list? Let me know in the chat right now. Let me know. So there's a lot of stuff around the NFL that's happening. What are you guys' thoughts about Washington Commanders getting Carson Wentz? That came out of nowhere. And then Russell Wilson yesterday, Aaron Rodgers returning, Devontae Adams returning, Bobby Wagner released. I mean, the list goes on and on about what's going on in the NFL. And I can't wait for the Jets to be part of it. And also some news from the Jets. I talked about it at the top of the stream, but Conor McDermott is re-signed with the New York Jets. We all know that. The tight end number one for this roster, going out there, versatile piece that's adding depth to the roster. Quandre Diggs, that's a player that I definitely should add. BJ Hill. Caden says, Richie, of these 5 guys, who would be your first free agent call? James Daniels, DJ Chark, OJ Howard, Derek Bennett, Justin Reed, or Dante Jackson? Mine would be Daniels or Chark. Yeah, I think mine would be Daniels. I think that's one of the biggest holes, and that is the offensive line, which is, Joe Douglas prioritizes that more than anything else. So I think James Daniels would be the first call if I'm Joe Douglas out of these players for sure. Yeah, I feel like Carson Wentz is a very underrated quarterback. I actually was always not a big fan of his, but I always felt like he was underappreciated at times. But hey, now I feel like everyone's going to roast me in the chat. What? Carson Wentz sucks. Richie, what are you saying? Zach Wilson's better, obviously. But hey, that's just how I feel. So in other news, there's an article from Rich Tomini yesterday saying that Joe Douglas is ready to pounce if there is a trade that becomes available for the New York Jets. We have the ammo. We have everything in our power to go after a player like DK Metcalf or any other player if they become available. So that shows you that Joe Douglas is ready to pounce, and he's open for business in the free agent market. DK Metcalf. Sorry, just getting some water. So let me know in the chat, guys. I see a lot of people tuning in right now. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button for your boy on your way into the stream so we can get as many Jets fans in here as we are just getting started here on the Jets Media Free Agency Preview. Hit that like button. We got 79 likes with 150 people. So everyone answer this. Who wants DK Metcalf? Say yes or say no in the chat now. Would you be willing to trade big-time blue-chip assets for a player in DK Metcalf? Let me know. No. Okay. Most of you guys are saying no. So you guys just disagree with me. All right. That's fine. No. Yes for right price. Not for 10. Let's get DK. 10, no. 35 or 38, yes. Amari Cooper. Prefer Amari Cooper. Yes. No DK. We are more than one player away. That is true. This is not happening. Pick 69, highest. I'm going for DK. He's worth way more than that. He is worth way more than that. So yeah, the interesting thing about DK Metcalf is if we did trade for him, we would have to extend him because there's no way we're giving up an asset like that and not having him on the Jets long term. So that's another thing you have to consider about when you hypothetically do trade for him. He'd have to come in here and get extended because there's no way we're giving up draft capital like that without having him here long term. But he's a damn good player, guys. Like, I don't know if you guys, I don't know. I'm a big DK fan. Like, if you watch him, he's a difference maker. I can't even imagine the stuff that he would do with Zach Wilson. But if I had to guess and if I had to put money on the odds of DK Metcalf coming to the Jets, I don't think it's happening. I don't think DK Metcalf is getting traded to the Jets for multiple reasons. Why would the Seattle Seahawks do another trade with the Jets after we absolutely ruined their franchise? Feel me? That is hysterical. Later, we are the reasons why the Seattle Seahawks are imploding. I absolutely love it. Would I give 10 for Jefferson? Yeah. Kidding me? He is worth that and then some. I'd give up 10 and 35. Like, I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe I would. Justin Jefferson, he's like top 5 receivers in the league in year 2. We need to draft Garrett Wilson. So, how are we filling in the wide receiver? So, that's the next topic. We need a legit wide receiver. How are we doing it, everybody? Well, there's a lot of different avenues to do it. Is it free agency? Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Mike Williams is not available anymore. Free trade market, Calvin Ridley's not available anymore. DK Metcalf, or the draft, Garrett Wilson, Burks, Drake London, Christian Watson, Dotson, Olave. How are we going to get our legit number 1 receiver? And hey, let me just say this real quick when you say legit number 1 receiver. We have a number 1 receiver on this roster, in my opinion, a potential one, but that does not mean that we should not add another one. Like I said earlier in the stream, the Cincinnati Bengals, they have 3 number 1 receivers. Jamar Chase is the obvious number 1 receiver. He's the best of the 3, but T. Higgins and Taj Boyd could be number 1 receivers in any other team, in my opinion. So I think Elijah Moore could be a number 1 receiver on this offense. But I also want the Jets to make sure that they go out there and get another one, so we have 2 dynamic ones with Corey Davis. You feel me? So everyone in the chat, let's see what they're saying. DJ Chark and Wan'Dale Robinson in the 3rd. Yeah, I think DJ Chark, you see that I have him on this board right here. I would love DJ Chark. Trade for DK and then draft Calvin Austin the 3rd if Berrios walks. Yeah, I think Calvin Austin the 3rd is definitely a player to look out for if the Jets do not re-sign Braxton Berrios. Pick 10, 4th round pick, and Corey Davis for Devontae Adams and 6th round pick. Not happening, man. We would have to give up more, way more for Devontae Adams. He's like the best wide receiver, of this generation. One of them. Draft Treylon Burks. I'm with you right there, my man. Drafting wide receiver at 10 because we need receiver would be such a Mac or Idzik move. Sign, trade for one. Hey, man, you never know. I feel like this wide receiver class is deep where we don't have to draft one at 10, so I understand. Throw the bag at DK. Tyler Boyd. I said Tyler Boyd. I guess I didn't pronunciate it right. I know it's Tyler Boyd. DK 6'4", 235 at 24 years old. The Rapture, I'm with you, my man. And runs a 4.3. This is why I feel like he's worth trading for. I know some people are hesitant for some reason, and you guys are entitled to your opinion, but I'm on the DK Metcalf hype train. Toot toot. Get him to one Jets drive. We're going to need more than one edge guy for an 8-man line. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to draft one and sign one. We're going to have to sign a couple, actually. Draft a couple. If we sign Allen Robinson, I want Jameson Williams at 10. No, we cannot draft Jameson Williams at 10, man. You kidding me? If he was healthy, yeah, maybe, but you can't spend a 10th round pick, a 10th overall pick on a player that just tore his ACL a month ago. Trade for either DK or DJ Moore. So DJ Moore, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about. Why would the Panthers want to trade for him? Trade him away. You know what I mean? That's where I don't understand it. The Panthers are trying to get Deshaun Watson. I don't know if you guys saw that report, but apparently the next domino to fall in the quarterback world might be Deshaun Watson to the Panthers. Sorry, Sam Darnold. Isn't it kind of crazy that Sam Darnold is going to be a backup for the rest of his career? Pretty nuts. Is it time to give up on Mims? Jeremy asks the $100 question. Listen, I have been the biggest Denzel Mims supporter and defender up until this season. Now, I don't think it's right to it's okay to write him off. I think that we should give him a chance to show up to this training camp, improve to the coaches. But what he showed last year, giving the opportunity he had to come up with literally one catch in 5 games of starting, is making me feel like it might be time to give up on Mims. And it hurts me to say that because I am not someone that usually gives up on players too early. But this is a last resort. I mean, Joe Douglas said that he's in constant communication with Denzel and his agent, and that he's putting in a lot of extra work this offseason. And let's just hope the only way Denzel Mims breaks out, I think, is if he has no weird illness or weird thing that's going to make him show up to training camp out of shape, because 2 years in a row, his rookie season, he had hamstring problems in training camp. In year number 2, he got food poisoning from salmon, was out of OTAs. So let's hope that Denzel Mims has a full bill of health heading into OTAs, heading into training camp, and then we can see if he can make a big name for himself. Because can you imagine if all of a sudden Denzel Mims actually lives up to his potential in year 3? Like, he was written off as a bust in year 1, year 2, and then in year 3 is where he really shows up as the Mims that we all fell in love with when we drafted him. Do you remember how much almost every Jets fan was ecstatic about when we drafted him, including myself? When we got Denzel Mims in the draft, I was like, oh my gosh, this man, I can't believe he fell to us. We traded down. We're still able to get him. And yes, he's been disappointing. He showed a lot of flashes in his rookie season, but I mean, not even having a touchdown in 2 years? I don't know. Let's see. Mr. D says, yo, what happened to the super chat I sent in? Mr. D, I don't see a super chat from you, my man. I would have saw it. I'm sorry if I missed it. I don't think I missed it, though. I was looking. Mr. D, I'm sorry, my man. I didn't see any super chat. I don't think that came in, but I appreciate the thought, at least. Yeah, there was no super chat that came in. This is the only super chat of the stream. So, my apologies there, Mr. D. Didn't see it, or I don't think it came in at all. So, people were all over JD for trading down and still getting Mims. I was pumped up about that. You remember this, Tommy? Richie almost had that Mims tutty against Cincy. So it's funny that you bring this up, Tommy, because that is the moment where I kind of gave up on Mims. I was like, all right, I cannot believe he dropped $2,400. My first ever bet I've ever made in my life on a sports book. Do I have to give you guys the story real quick? We got a super chat to get to, and then I'll tell you my funny Denzel Mims story. Daniel with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, my man. Dono hype in the chat for Daniel. Appreciate you, bro. Mims stretches the field. Zach will find him, get him a tight end. Yeah, Denzel Mims does stretch the field. He's a go up there and get it type of player. I just don't know what's wrong with Denzel, man. Let me just give you guys this funny story. You'll want to hear it. Denzel Mims, right? I went to the Mike White game with my buddies, and at the time, sportsbook was not legal in New York yet. It was legal in New Jersey, right? So we're at the game, we're at MetLife, we're tailgating, and we can go on FanDuel and make a bet. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna download FanDuel. I'm gonna make a bet on sportsbook because I've never made one in my life because I live in New York and I haven't really done it through a bookie or anything. So hey, I'm gonna make a same game parlay for the game today. So my same game parlay was all I needed was Michael Carter, Jamar Chase, and Denzel Mims, all three of them to score a touchdown. I put $25 down to win $2,400. Let me say that again. I put $25 down to win $2,400. And if you guys remember that game, Jamar Chase got in the end zone the first quarter. Michael Carter got in the end zone in the first quarter. So for the rest of the game, me and all my buddies were like, oh my God, if Denzel Mims somehow gets a touchdown, I'm going to win $2,400, my first ever bet. And then do you guys remember what happened that game? Denzel Mims from Josh Johnson was wide open in the end zone. The ball got thrown to him. I remember watching it live. It felt like time to slow down. I felt like there was music playing and I was in a movie and it was like, no way it's going to happen. And money just flashed in my eyes before it even happened. And then Denzel Mims hits his shoulder pad. He drops that pass. If he would have caught that, that would have made me over $2,000. And that's how you get introduced to sports bet. But hey, that's a story that's really gonna stay with me for the rest of my life. And ever since that moment, I'm like, all right, Denzel, I can't believe that. I'm done with you. But yeah, that's my little funny Denzel Mims story. So yeah, Daniel, I agree. Mims does stretch the field. We need to get him at tight end, and I hope Denzel can prove a lot of people wrong this year, no doubt. Mr. D, here is the $5 super chat you were talking about. Thank you so much, my man, for the $5 donation. Really does mean a lot to the channel, my man. Really does mean a lot. Thank you so much. The Jets are going to be competitive this season, and also Jamal Adams wants to be a Jet. What? Also, the $10 I spent for super chat has left my account. Oh my gosh. That's terrible, Mr. D. You sent that in today? Wait. You sent that into this stream, a $10 super chat? Because when was it? Like how long ago? Because I'm scrolling up on all the comments and there's no super chat. I'm sorry that YouTube had to do that to you. But I appreciate the $5 donation, my man. The Jets are going to be competitive. And now Jamal Adams wants to come back to the Jets. Yeah, I don't blame him. We're on the come up. And now he's on the decline. That's funny. But listen, there's a lot of things to look forward to when it comes to free agency. As you can see from my big board here, if you're just tuning in, these are the players that I feel like the Jets should be interested in getting. Let me know any players that you feel like the Jets should be signing that I do not have listed. I agree, PC. Let him know. I believe Elijah Moore can be a number one receiver. So let me just remind everybody, Elijah Moore, if he did not get injured against, what was that, the Eagles game or the Saints game, if he did not go down with the quad for the rest of the season, we would be talking about Elijah Moore as the number one receiver for next year. Because the numbers that he was doing in that 5 or 6 game span, and it wasn't just like a random 5-game span and then he went on a slump. What happened was he started off the season slow, he got a concussion, he comes back, and then he gets hot. And he's getting 6 receptions a game, 80 yards a game, a touchdown a game for like 5 games straight, and then it hurts his quad, he's out for the year. If Elijah Moore did not get injured and he finished off the season, I feel like he'd be talked at as one of the most slept on and upcoming receivers in the league in terms of like youth. And Elijah Moore can 100% be a number one receiver. He has everything you want in the system for a receiver that you want. But that doesn't mean that we should not go out there and get another number one receiver alongside of him. That's my point. But there's no doubt about it. I mean, I made a whole video on this channel talking about how both Elijah Moore and Michael Carter could be stars for the Jets. And they have star potential written all over them. Like, isn't that crazy? The Jets actually got 2 potential star playmakers in one draft. Neither of them drafted in the first round. Second and the fourth. Why can't we do that every year? Let's do that again this year. Let's draft a wide receiver with the second pick. I mean, with one of our second round picks or at 10, and then draft another running back in the 4th or 5th round. Run it back, Joey D. Run it back. Get us some elite playmakers in the draft. Did that rhyme? Run it back. I'm not going to redo that. I'm not going to pretend to be a rapper. But listen, there's so many things that's going to be happening next year. Free agency frenzy here on Jets Media is just getting started. Next week, I'll be live all week long. So you'll see this face. We're going to have some special guests on the channel. It's going to be a lot of fun on Jets Media next week. So make sure you guys have your computers with you, your phones with you, whatever you watch YouTube on, because I'll be live for hours on end. I got to drink a lot of coffee to stay awake for you guys, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Starting on Monday at noon, we're going to have a free agency special where the Jets are going to be hopefully signing people on Monday. We don't know because sometimes they wait until Wednesday when the new league year officially begins, or on Monday. That's when, agents are officially allowed to talk and the tampering period opens up. So stay tuned, guys. I got a lot of fun things happening on Jets Media this upcoming week. And guys, help me get to 100 likes. We have 93 likes with 157 of you guys in here. Let's get to 100 likes. Smash that like button for your boy. I greatly appreciate that. Let's see if we can get to 100 likes right now. Let's do it. Now, PC asks another interesting question. What's your feeling on Evan Ingram? I'm intrigued. 100 likes already. You guys are the best. I love every single one of you guys. Evan Ingram, I saw a report on Twitter today that was talking about how some people are looking at Evan Ingram as a slot, like a slot tight end hybrid. Because I think we all know Evan Ingram is known as a receiving tight end and not a blocking tight end. Like, that's his problem. He's terrible as a blocker. He's potentially elite when he's healthy as a receiver, as a tight end. Now, the problem with that is, for the Jets' sake of things, this system really relies on a blocking tight end, which is why I want Trey McBride. I want Trey McBride on the Jets so bad. Trey McBride! That man needs to be a Jet. I don't see the fit with Evan Ingram in the Jets at all, but I do feel like Evan Ingram, if he goes to the right situation, will thrive somewhere else. And he's happy to get out of the Giants because he tweeted an emoji of him being pumped up. Hey, Mr. D, the 100th like. Thank you, my man. Tight end, Ali Cox and Reddick. Patterson would be my first call in free agency. Yeah, man, there's a lot of players that I don't even have listed here that are going to be free agent targets. You feel me? So many players. Bob says, trade 35, and if Rucker is available in the third, would you take both? That really depends on what tight end we get in free agency. Like, say we draft one tight end. Say we sign one tight end in free agency. We sign Gerald Everett, for example, or we re-sign Tyler Kroft or something disgusting, then I would take both of them. Also, a big factor is where the other positions look like, because the tight end group is not the only position that needs a lot of work. I don't want to put all of our assets into the tight end room. I feel like using a second and a third on the tight end is kind of, I don't know. I would love both McBride and Ruckert on the Jets. I feel like then we would have the tight ends would be set. But I don't know. I don't see that happening, to be honest. Zachary Wilson better be borderline elite in year 2. You're setting the expectations high, man. I don't have that expectation. I want him to be borderline elite in year 3, just because I feel like, I don't know. That's just me as a Jets fan. I kind of like to tame my expectations because I don't want to get disappointed. I don't want to be like, all right, Zach Wilson, year number 2, the jump is going to be crazy. He's about to make a Joe Burrow type of, Justin Herbert type of leap. And then he doesn't, and I'm disappointed. I'm taming my expectations. What I want to see from Zach Wilson in year number 2 is improve in every single statistical category, have more passing touchdowns, have less interceptions, have more passing yards, have a higher completion percentage, and most importantly, have a better winning percentage. Having more wins than losses, preferably, but that's obviously very unlikely. But yeah, in a perfect world, Zach Wilson is elite in year 2 for sure. But I feel like he's gonna have some games though where he looks elite in year number 2. I feel like he's gonna have a game where he has 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick, and then that's the game where we win. And that's where we're all freaking out as Jets fans. I think those days are ahead of us in this year. I just don't know if he's going to do that consistently in year number 2. He's still going to be making some mistakes. He's still going to have some things where we're questioning. He's still going to have some things that he needs to work on. If he has the right pieces, he'll do great. Yeah, obviously that's a big factor. If we spoil Zach, which is what I want the Jets to do so bad, how fun would it be if we just spoil Zach Wilson, make him the spoilest quarterback in the league, where he walks out there in the field, and he's overwhelmed with weapons and overwhelmed with protection where he doesn't know where to go with the football. He has Trey McBride. He has Zach Ertz. He has Amari Cooper. He has Michael Carter. And he has Tyler Algier. And he has Elijah Moore. And he has Corey Davis. And he has Mekhi Becton, AVT, Ryan Jensen, James Daniels. Obviously, that's just me just saying so much unrealistic things. But hey, we'll see. Could Thibodeaux be the defensive end version of Jamal Adams? Might be a head case. This is a good question because what we know about the Jets front office and the coaches is they prioritize character and passion for game ahead of anything else. And if they meet with Kayvon Thibodeaux and they talk to people that knows Kayvon Thibodeaux personally, and they come away with a character concern, I do not think the Jets are going to draft him, even if he's available at 4. I really believe that. I feel like the Jets are going to prioritize character over everything else because you could be as physically talented in the world, but if you're not all there mentally and you're kind of like, a me guy, then that's not the culture that you want. And trust me, I have no idea if Kayvon Thibodeaux's character concerns are legit or not. I would prefer his character concerns to not be an issue and he be drafted to the Jets and he be the long-term edge rusher for the Jets. But we'll see. I like signing James Daniels. He has some flexibility. He can switch to center if needed. Yo, James Daniels is definitely one of my favorite players on this team, on the free agent market that I definitely want the Jets to draft. I want the Jets to sign. My head's everywhere, guys. All right. Quick hydration break. Everyone chug your water on 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh. Always got to stay hydrated. I drink way too much water. Hawk says 100% F Kayvon Thibodeaux. Say with your chest, Hawk. Zach needs to stop playing scared in year 2 and unleash the ball downfield. I only saw it in week 1 and 4. Yeah, I agree. I think this is a big piece of his development because we know that he has the arm to do it. And I think for when he got injured and when he came back, you're right. He did not really stretch the field. He did not unleash the ball down the field like we thought he would. He kind of got into an intermediate throw thing, which I had no problem with as a rookie. I feel like he needed to learn how to do that because we know that the talent is there to throw the ball down the field. But what we do not know and what we didn't know at the time is if Zach Wilson had the mind and the arm in order to be able to manage a game, throw the intermediate routes, a 13-yard out route, a quick slant over the middle, a quick screen, like the easy stuff. We were kind of concerned. Remember last year as a rookie, he was like really missing some easy throws. So I feel like the Jets coaching staff and LaFleur did a really great job of, putting Zach Wilson not in the box, but making sure that he focuses on the intermediate stuff, playing within the structure of the offense, because when he can get comfortable within the structure of the offense, then that's when he can do all the off-schedule stuff with his instincts really beautifully and use his legs more. Because the one thing about Zach Wilson's game that I think is the most underrated piece to Zach Wilson is, someone said in the chat, where is it? What Todd says, Zach needs to use his legs more because I think that's the most underrated piece of Zach Wilson is his athleticism. His ability to make people miss in the open field, his ability to escape pressure from when he's, in a pocket, his ability to, he had a 53-yard touchdown run, the longest touchdown run by a quarterback since Marcus Mariota in 2015. So yes, he needs to use his legs more. And the best part about that touchdown run, fun fact, against the Jaguars, is a week before that, Zach Wilson against the Saints, I believe, he scrambled, he ran to the left, and he had all day to run, right? And he had Keelan Cole, I believe, was ahead of him, and he was blocking his man, and there was nobody else. Like, all other defenders on the right side of the field, and Zach Wilson had so much grass to run and potentially get like 20 more yards or even potentially a touchdown. But Zach Wilson was scared, and especially he's coming off a knee injury, so you can't really blame him, but he slid, and he sacrificed himself. And Mike LaFleur, the reason why I bring this up, Mike LaFleur went up to Zach, showed him that play, challenged him, said, hey, you're athletic. You're not giving yourself enough credit here. Next time this opportunity presents himself, you do not slide. You go. You go get that touchdown. And what happens the next week? Zach Wilson on that 53-yard touchdown run, if you rewatch the highlight, he easily could have ran out of bounds or sacrificed himself there. But he was tiptoeing up the sideline, making people miss like a dog that he is. So that's a fun little story about Zach Wilson to the floor if you guys didn't know about from last year. When will Joe D make a move? Well, free agency opens up next week on Monday is when he can legally start calling agents, and then Wednesday is when the new league year officially begins. If you're talking about a trade or re-signings, then yeah, that can happen any moment, but we don't know. Hawk says defenses won't be able to cover more Berrios and DK all at the same time. That trio can get us far, even if Corey Davis isn't here past next season. I would love DK Metcalf, bro. You don't got to convince me. Free rushers pounding Zach early in the season blew up his development. Yes, sir. 100%. Sup? When's DK coming to New York? I hope he comes to New York very soon. We will start hearing a free agency deal Sunday. Yep. It's about to get hectic, guys. A reminder, I'm going to be live throughout the entire week next year. Going to be the busiest time on Jets Media. So I appreciate it. Appreciate if you guys tune in. One thing I love about Zach Wilson is that he took so many hard sacks and only had one lost fumble all year. Good ball security. This is a very good point, Sports Frenzy. Very good point. Imagine a wide receiver group with DK, Moore, Davis, and Calvin Austin plus McBride. Oh my God! Don't get me so false hope, man. I want this to happen so bad. I want DK so bad. I wanted DK on the Jets when he was coming into the draft. I wanted DK now. I want him tomorrow. The day after that. Refs not calling roughing the passing penalties killed us greatly. Don't forget about that. Very true, my man. Rich, you get me going at work. Love the live stream. Appreciate you, Tommy. Hope I can get you through work. I get hype when it comes to these Jets. I get hype, man. Joe Douglas, GOAT of trading. Joe Douglas is 100% a wizard when it comes to trading. Now, the big thing is about Joe Douglas is yet to be seen. What is he going to do with those assets that he acquired? You know what I mean? He has the assets now. Joe Douglas traded Jamal Adams and Sam Darnold for an entire draft class. I mean, think about that real quick. Joe Douglas traded Jamal Adams and Sam Darnold. 4 in total, right? 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick. And we gave up a fourth. So we essentially got like an entire draft class from those 2 players. Thank you, Joey D. Now we got to make sure that he uses those picks, which he has been last year, to an elite level. I mean, the 2021 draft class was beyond good last year. How exciting is this time of year? You could feel the energy in the whole building every day, praying for Hutchinson and London on top of our free agency class. These are 2 interesting players. You're praying for Aiden Hutchinson? I'm sorry, man. I don't see him getting past number 1 overall. I feel like he might be going to the Jags. But yeah, man, it's a great time. I love this time of year. Do you think 35 and a 4th pick is fair for DK? I don't. I would love for this to happen. It's fair for the Jets. I don't think it's fair for the Seahawks. Perfect O-line for Zach. Becton, AVT, Jensen, Ekwonu, Fisher, or Moses. What happens to Fant? We move on for Fant? But hey, that is a pretty insane offensive line, my man. Can't get me wrong. What's my dream scenario for the first 2 rounds? All right. My dream scenario is that Kayvon Thibodeaux's character concerns are not an issue. And we get him at 4. And then number 10, we get Sauce Gardner. And then in the second, we get Trey McBride and either Christian Watson or Dotson or Chris Olave if he falls somehow, or any second-round wide receiver. That's my dream scenario, first 2 rounds. That's a dream because I don't see Sauce Gardner falling to 10. But then we got to get offensive line in the 3rd round, probably. I want all the sauce. Yes, sir. How about 35th, 4th this year and a conditional mid-round pick next year for DK? I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like we might have to give up a little more than that. He's people are forgetting how good of a player DK really is, but you never know. The Seattle Seahawks aren't that good at trading. We need sauce for sure. DK for 1 year, nah, I'm good. Wide receiver class this year. No way we give up a first for him by any means. Yeah, it's very unlikely. But I don't think that if we say hypothetically we do trade for him, I don't think it's for 1 year. I think that the Jets would know that we have to pay him, beyond this year if we do trade for him. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like a 1 year rental type of trade. Sauce. We need sauce. If JD can get DK or Lockett for nothing more than a 2 high-end robbery. Yeah. I don't think we need Lockett because we have Elijah Moore. You know what I mean? Like Elijah Moore kind of is Tyler Lockett. So that's why DK is it fits a hole. We need a big body guy that is a really good route runner that can create separation, that could just be an explosive playmaker. DK is going to the Raiders? I don't know where this came from. I don't think so. Another first round thing that I would consider, honestly, that people need to start thinking about is, say Aquanu's off the board, Hutchinson and Thibodeau's off the board at 4. We might have to consider Sauce at 4 there, and then maybe getting an edge at 10 and Jermaine Johnson or Trayvon Walker or one of those guys. I'm very high on Jermaine Johnson. I would love Jermaine Johnson on the Jets at number 10. DK is worth breaking the bank for. I agree. Elijah Moore is Antonio Brown, baby. I hope he's not Antonio Brown off the field. On the field, sign me up. I want Jordan Davis. I want Jordan Davis too, but that's not going to be a pick for us. If Icky is not there at 4, I'm taking Sauce for show. Yeah, listen, I feel like, Evan Neal is a player that some Jets fans are on with, some aren't. I'm kind of like, I'm okay with passing on Evan Neal at 4. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if that is the pick, I don't blame Joe Douglas. But I just really feel like Sauce Gardner would do so much for this team moving forward in this defense, man. I want Sauce on my side. Yes. Exactly. Last big body who produced for us, B. Marsh Decker. We need a big guy. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Icky at 4, then trade up for Sauce. I know we'd rather trade down from 10, but if it means getting Sauce for the right price, then I'm with it. Yeah, a lot of people got to realize that Sauce at 10 is very unrealistic. Sauce is not going to be there at 10. So the only way Sauce Gardner is a New York Jet is if we draft him at number 4 or if we trade up. Seahawks at 9 is bad for us. They will probably take an edge in front of us if we don't get an edge at 4. Yeah, that's very true. They're going to take Jermaine Johnson away from me, and I know it. I can already feel it. I want Jermaine Johnson. That's another player that is very high on my wish list. Sauce at 4, Burks at 10 if we do not get DK or Amari. I don't really see the Jets going two playmakers and not getting one trench player in the first round, to be honest. If we get Sauce at 4, I feel like it has to be either O-line or D-line at 10. But I understand where you're coming from, my man. I would love these 2 players, but realistically speaking, it would be shocked if Joe Douglas does not get, at least one trench player in the first round. Broadway Jets tuning in. I think Everett and McBride will be the tight ends next year. I agree, man. If you can see, I got Gerald Everett here on the Jets free agency targets. I'm down. Like, if Gerald Everett and Trey McBride are the 2 tight ends for the Jets, that is a home run in my eyes. Now, is Gerald Everett going to be like the next big thing for us? No. He's a veteran that is way better than Croft. That's way better than anybody that we've had on the roster for a while. He's also a perfect scheme fit. He's been in the system for a long time. And we also get Trey McBride, who's the future tight end of this team. If I could do a perfect world scenario for the Jets tight end room, obviously Dalton Schultz would be preferable there, but he's off the table. The Njoku I would prefer, but he's off the table. You could throw Zach Ertz out there as well. CJ Uzaba. There's a lot of players outside of just Everett, but realistically speaking, I think Everett to the Jets makes way too much sense. You feel me? Way too much sense. How about Stingley at 10? So this is another player that is a polarizing prospect for just his injury reasons, You pull up Derek Stingley's tape when he was healthy and playing at his highest level, and you're like, wait a second. This guy's the next Patrick Peterson. This guy is just unreal. But then, the injury he had, it really hurts me to say this, but I would stay away from Stingley because I'm just afraid of the injuries. As a Jets fan, I've gone through so many injuries. We've all gone through the injury concerns, and the last thing we need is an injury-riddled guy. But at the same time, there's a good chance that Stingley is an absolute dominant, one of the best corners in the NFL if healthy. So it's just one of those things that just really concerns me. I would love Stingley, a healthy Stingley on the Jets at 10. If you could tell me Stingley will be healthy for his career, then yes, I would draft him at number 10, if that answers your question. Even though you can't tell me that because no one can predict the future unless you're a Jedi. But I trade pick 36 and Quinnen for DK Metcalf. I would not do that because, I would not do that. I love DK, but Quinnen Williams is a big piece to this defensive line's future. The fact that we have four top 38 picks, I'm okay with taking one risk at 10 for player in a premier position with a high ceiling. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about Stingley. I'm a big Stingley guy, and it is taking a risk. And it is one of those things where if it works for us, woo-wee, talk about Sauce Gardner's potential. People forget about how much of an elite player Stingley was. So I'm right there with you. I agree. And then we have someone else saying Stingley is D. Milner 2.0. So we'll see. Bryce Hall did have injury issues as well, and he is coming off a full season bill of health, which is a very good thing, very good sign. Hopefully that continues. Guys, make sure you smash that like button. We got 122 likes. Let's see if we get the 150 likes before the stream is all wrapped up. I've been live for an hour and a half, and I said it over and over again, but expect a lot of live streams here on Jets Media all next week, all throughout free agency, getting my live reactions to the news, breaking down everything about this stuff on Jets Media. It's going to be lots and lots of fun, man. What about Christian Watson? Big, fast receiver and has return ability. Yeah, I think he should be a target for the Jets in the second round. If we do not get a big receiver in free agency or in the trade market like Amari Cooper or Robinson or a DK, I think Christian Watson is definitely a player to look out for in the second round. He's a twitchy guy. He's a big man. He kind of reminds me, I don't want to say it, but he kind of reminds me of how Denzel Mims looked heading into the draft. Not saying he's the next Denzel. Don't put words in my mouth. But he reminds me of him just in terms of his speed at that size. But Christian Watson is a better route runner than Denzel was. We just re-signed McGovern for a year? Is that true? Don't give me some fake news here. Because McGovern is already on contract for a year. I don't see this news anywhere. Oh, McDermott, he meant. McDermott, yeah. I got McDermott up here. Conor McDermott re-signed to a one-year deal. I talked about that earlier. And I think it was a great move. Getting a number 1 tight end back in the building, you already know what's good. You already know what's good. Yeah, so Conor McDermott, I guess you meant. What about J.C. Jackson on that list? I do not see J.C. Jackson on the Jets. Me personally. He's a great player. I just don't think the New York Jets are going to be interested in giving him the money that he wants. That's why he's not on the list, because I don't think he's a realistic target for the Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to want to overpay and make him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. If we had Mike McCagnon, then yeah, he'd be on this list. Mike McCagnon was a GM, he'd be on the list. Joe Douglas on the list as a GM, he's not going to be on the list because he's not going to be a Jet. He's way too expensive. I see people in the chat saying that. What do you list as mid to late round running backs that you like to complement Michael Carter? Tyler Goodson is the guy I want. Yeah, Tyler Goodson is the guy. I like Tyler Algier as well. He's like more of a power back. James Cook. Oh, there goes my battery. Hold on, guys. Just got to change my camera battery. Take 2 seconds. Camera battery just died on you guys. Hold on. I'm still here. Hopefully, you guys still hear me. Amari Cooper is becoming more of a target. I hope, man. I hope. I'm on Twitter right now trying to see any news because we're getting some crazy news out of nowhere. You know, the Carson Wentz news to the Russell Wilson news yesterday. Was that yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't even keep track. But yeah, guys, there's a lot of stuff happening around the NFL, and the Jets, we're about to be heavily involved next week. If we get Gardner at 4, would you trade up to 8 to get in front of Seahawks for Jermaine Johnson? And if we go edge at 4, would you trade up a few spots to secure Gardner? Listen, we have the ammunition to trade up. We saw Joe Douglas trade up last year. So I would not be shocked if Joe Douglas loves a player so much where he goes up and gets him, just like Elijah Vera Tucker last year. If I was the Jets last year, I would redo the same thing. I would trade our 2 third-round picks to move up to get AVT. I would do that over and over again because it's worth it. If you love a player that much and you feel like he's going to be a difference maker, going to be a blue-chip player for the long term, you trade up for him. So if the Jets love Jermaine Johnson and they feel like he's not going to be there at 10 because the Seahawks are going to take him, then yeah, you trade up 2 spots. Maybe give up a late-round pick to secure your guy, 100%. I think Jermaine Johnson's worth that for sure. Is it worth trying for McCaffrey? Throw an offer at them, like trade down from 4 to 6, plus throw in Mims, maybe a 2023 third. I don't know. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, that would be crazy. I know that the Panthers would want a lot from McCaffrey, so I feel like you'd have to give up a little more than this. And he's also very injury concerned, and we also have Michael Carter. So I would not put this much capital and this much into a running back when I have a lot of confidence in the running back we already have on our roster, Michael Carter. Let's see. If we get KT at 4, I would trade back at. If we take KT at 4, I would trade back and take wide receiver or line. Would give you flexibility to trade back into the first as well. Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of offensive line and wide receiver depth in this draft. So if you do want to trade back from 10 to get your receiver and acquire more capital for a future trade, yes, sir. Sauce is that difference maker. We need him at 4 or trade up to 10 to get him. Sauce must be a Jet. Hashtag Sauce. Bring Sauce home. I want Sauce Gardner on the Jets so bad. So bad. Bring us home, baby. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't see the Jets doing it. I'm not getting my hopes up. That's one of those players where it's kind of like, yeah, I would love him on the Jets. But a voice inside of me is like, he's not going to be a Jet. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it happening. I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. I just don't know if the Jets are going to pull the trigger on a corner at pick number 4 unless the players that they really love are off the board. Barkley for a 3rd and 5th. I wouldn't give up capital for a player in Saquon who's entering free agency after this year, who is way past his prime. Like, we got Michael Carter. Like, if we didn't have Michael Carter, I'd be like, all right, maybe, but we got Michael Carter. People forget about how good Michael Carter is going to be. Michael Carter. The GOAT. Michael Carter, baby. Come on. People keep disrespecting that guy. We can get a running back later in the draft to compliment Michael Carter, and we'll be good. We aren't taking a corner at 4. I agree with this take, Jesse. I don't think we are. But I would consider it, but we're not going to. But I would like them to, but I don't think they are. But will they? The thing is, the only reason why we bring up Sauce at 4 is because Sauce at 10 is like totally unlikely. You know what I mean? So the only way we get Sauce is if we draft him at 4, which is most likely not happening. Who do you think we should get at linebacker? So I have some linebacker here that I think the Jets might be interested in. That's Foyesade from the Atlanta Falcons. He is a 4-3 linebacker that would fit this system beautifully. A player that was with Jeff Ulbrich in Atlanta, a young guy that's upcoming. I feel like he's a player that the Jets could be interested in. I don't know if they are or not. I have no sources. I don't pretend to have any sources, guys. If I had sources, I would tell you, but I don't. So I don't know who the hell the Jets are interested in or not. But I feel like Foyesade would make a lot of sense to the Jets. Bobby Wagner, I have him on the list just because he's a very fun name that just got released and just hit the open market. But I don't see him coming to the Jets. When it comes to the draft, there's some players like Troy Anderson. There are some guys. We're definitely going to be getting some linebackers in the building. Sauce at 10 is more likely after the Seahawks trade and the Ridley suspension. Yeah, that is true. I feel like wide receiver is definitely going to be the pick for the Falcons, most likely. Probably going to be Garrett Wilson, if I had to guess. And number 9 is probably me and Edge. But the team that I think is going to draft Sauce is going to be the Giants. I feel like the New York Giants, if they do move on from James Bradbury, which is I feel like going to happen, then I feel like the Giants have 2 picks. They have 5 and 7. So I feel like the Giants could be drafting Sauce Gardner. Don't sleep on JoJo Demand from Nebraska. Yeah, I agree. This is another player to look out for. There's a lot of guys that just slip my mind when it comes to the linebackers and every position group. I mean, there's so many people that I'm a fan of in this draft class. I'm excited, man. What are your 3 positions to address in free agency? Mine are linebacker, safety, and tight end. Mine is number 1 priority for me is probably interior offensive line in free agency. I feel like we need to get one of James Daniels, Ryan Jensen, or Laken Tomlinson. I think that is a big time need because of the long-term avenue, because Connor McGovern, he's not here long-term. George Fant, I know he's a tackle. He's not here long-term. Greg Van Roten, he stinks. He's going to be cut. LDT, he's a free agent. So the interior offensive line, we're lucky to have Elijah Vera Tucker because that's a cornerstone piece for this O-line. But center and right guard are kind of up in for grabs. So that's a big-time need that I want the New York Jets to be aggressive in the free agency. And then I agree the other 2 is for me, safety and tight end for sure. I prefer James Daniels as well. Aiden Hutchinson, not worth a top 25 pick. Interesting. Are the free agent guards appealing? Yeah, Jay. Like I said, James Daniels. James Daniels is a player to look out for the New York Jets. He fits the system perfectly. He thrives in his own scheme. And you plug him in and play at right guard, and all of a sudden the offensive line has another player that's young and ascending his career, and get him in the building with John Benton as the offensive line coach. Yeah. James Daniels for sure. And then obviously the big name is Ryan Jensen. Oh my God, I spelled his name wrong again. Nobody brought it up. Oh. Nobody brought up that I spelled his name wrong. And I'm happy nobody noticed. Hold on. Why is this not letting me? Sorry, guys. I'm just changing something quick. There we go. Quick little thing. I always spell his name wrong. But, yeah, Ryan Jensen is a player that I would love the Jets to consider, but I don't see him moving on from the Bucs, or why would he pick the Jets over the Bengals or the Steelers? But, hey, we'll see. I also don't know if he's worth that much money. Uh-oh, we got a Dolphins fan in here talking crap about the Jets. Come on, guys. We can't let this happen. Everyone kill Carlos. Dolphins suck. Dolphins suck. I'm just kidding. Appreciate the love. Lakin all day. I would love Lakin as well. He's more of that veteran guy that's not young. He's 30 years old. He's kind of the player that had one really good year, and he knows the system as well. And he's familiar with John Benton as the O-line coach, so we'll see if that happens. Can we sign Jensen and Daniels and cut McGovern, trade him, cut Van Roten? Yes, we can. If the Jets want to all of a sudden beef up this O-line and run it into next year with like a potential top 10, top 15 O-line, this is how you do it. You cut McGovern, you cut Van Roten, you sign Jensen, and you sign Daniels, and then we have Becton, ABT, Jensen, Daniels, and Fant. Woo! That is a playoff caliber O-line. We got ABT going into year 2. Becton better prove everyone wrong and go into year 3 with in shape and dominant force, win that left tackle spot, and then the 2 new players at center and right guard. Then Fant was a dog last year. So, oh my God, I don't even want to think about that hypothetical. Draft Zion Johnson. Yeah, I feel like if the Jets do not get James Daniels or one of these free agent offensive linemen, then Zion Johnson is a player that the Jets should consider in the second round, or in the first round. Honestly, if we trade back from 10, he should be an option. They really love him. So yeah, guys, we've been live for almost 2 hours. So I'm gonna keep going live until we hit the 2-hour mark, which is 15 minutes from now. So any questions you guys have, let me know. I'll try to get to as many as possible. Remember, Super Chat is priority, so you skip the line if you send in the Super Chat. It's really appreciated, of course. And you also get to I answer your question, no doubt. I can't answer all the questions in the chat because a lot of them come in. So let me know any questions you might have regarding free agency. There's a lot of content that's going to be happening on this channel for the next week or so. I'll be live for a big portion of free agency next week, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited for that. Daniels is a penalty guy and getting older. Well, everyone's getting older, and Daniels is young, so I don't know what you mean, but he does have penalty issues, for sure. There's no doubt about that, but the getting older part, I don't understand. He's 24, so that's like the youngest you can possibly be on the open market. You feel me? Which is why I want him. I feel like Benton as his coach would have helped him thrive. Safety, right guard, and wide receiver in free agency. That's the recoup. Yeah, man. I agree. We need a safety. We need a right guard. We need a receiver. We need a tight end. Yes, sir. GVR is the reason why Mekhi Becton was out for the whole season last year, man. Damn. Imagine that line plus McBride, say trade for Metcalf and get KT, linebackers, and safeties. See, like, it really is ridiculous, guys, the potential that this New York Jets team has this offseason. Like, we can really have a completely different team next year in a blink of an eye, with all the assets that we have. Like, it's so fun to go over all these different scenarios with you guys. Who's available, who's not available, who should we trade for, who should we trade for, who should we draft, who shouldn't we draft. You feel me? Wagner sounds good, but may cost too much. Linebacker Mosley already eating up too much salary cap. Yeah, I agree. I don't really think Bobby is the right fit for the Jets. I just have him there because he's a big name that hit the open market out of nowhere. Conor McDermott is a good backup guard that is not JD refusing to take a bold step forward. That is JD filling our roster. Yeah, I agree. I mean, McDermott is a player that he's a backup tackle that's versatile that can play guard, and he's also versatile to play tight end. He went out there and got a touchdown last year. He has more touchdowns than Denzel Mims. Why is that so sad? I can't believe I just said that on live. I'm sorry, Denzel. I love you. Prove everyone wrong, please. We need 2 firsts next year, too. Yeah, now we're getting spoiled with all these 2 first-round picks. So, yeah, make sure you guys appreciate our 2 first rounds this year because this is the last time that's happening for a long time. I don't see us trading any player for a first-round pick next year, So, enjoy it while it lasts, guys. Becton, ABT, Linderbaum, Kenyon Green, Fant, or like you said, free agent might be one of those spots instead of draft. Got to have a killer O-line this season so Zach nails all his weapons. Yeah, the O-line is definitely going to be the priority before anything else from Joe Douglas. And I feel like supplementing the O-line in free agency makes more sense because we want veterans right now. We have our 2 young pieces on the O-line of Becton and ABT. Let's get veterans in here. Let's get a James Daniels in here. Let's get a Tomlinson in here, hypothetically. And then let's go into the draft getting some weapons. Richie, what's good? East Meadow. Yes, sir. East Meadow. You from East Meadow, too? Do I know you? What up? East Meadow represent. News on Berrios. So the latest news on Braxton Berrios is what I heard from someone on Twitter. No one told me. I don't have any sources. But apparently, the Jets gave Braxton Berrios an offer that they feel is a very strong offer. And Braxton Berrios is, likes the offer, but he still wants to go into free agency and test the market to see if there's any teams interested in him to pay him a little more. I think that's what the latest news on Berrios is. I would love to sign Lincoln. It would take away the worry that we don't get Icky and Zion. It's taken before 35. Yeah, I agree. That's why I feel like the interior offensive line is definitely going to be a big priority for Joe Douglas in free agency because I don't think he wants to, go into the draft crossing his fingers because what if Icky's gone? What if Zion's gone? Then we're screwed. Then we're going to have Greg Van Roten there? No. I'm okay with Berrios walking. I love him, but I'm not okay with this. I want Braxton Berrios back. He's such an underrated piece of this team. He is replaceable, but at the same time, I feel like his chemistry with Zach is very strong, which is a big reason why I want him. Who is Lincoln? Lincoln Tomlinson, the offensive lineman from the San Francisco 49ers. How would we get Kenyon Green and Linderbaum? Yeah, I think he meant one or the other, or I don't know. If Berrios leaves by, not letting the one-year wonder handcuff us, we'd like him to stay put, but it is what it is. Yeah, I feel like that's what the Jets' mindset is. They gave him an offer that they feel is a strong offer, and then it's up to Braxton Berrios. The Jets did their as best as they could, and it's up to him. It's not going to be the end of the world if he leaves, no doubt. But, the Jets are obviously interested in re-signing him, and let's hope that he chooses us. I mean, there are a lot of players in the draft that you can replace Berrios with for sure. It's just a matter if the Jets will do that or not. We need a slot guy that can be our kick returner, punt returner, and just a Swiss Army knife. And the thing I love about Braxton, though, is he's so reliable. Like, how many times has Braxton dropped the pass? 0? How many times have he filled in for an injured player and put up big numbers out of nowhere? Getting in the end zone, getting a bunch of receptions. I mean, Braxton, I don't need to hype him up. You guys know everything about Braxton. Yeah, you can't blame him. His stock is as high as it's going to be, for sure. Definitely want Berrios back, but if he takes money somewhere else, then we got to get Calvin Austin III. He's absolutely electric. Yeah, I agree. I'm down. LDT is coming back. Would rather address the playmakers in free agency and address the trenches in first round. I'd rather have LDT as a backup, like depth rather than starting, to be honest. Like, I would rather re-sign LDT and then sign another guy, and then they compete for right guard. But we'll see, man. Or you can bring back LDT and then you draft a guy, like you said, like Ike Kwanu or Zion Johnson, and then they compete for it. If Woody buys Chelsea, does Chris take over the Jets again? I don't even want to talk about that, man. Like, Woody does not prioritize the Jets at all. All he cares about is money, money, money. How many people had the Jets re-signing McDermott of all the people? The first, I mean, it's not a shocker. I mean, I kind of expected it, but it's the first news, so everyone's like, oh, yeah, woohoo. Why not keep Moses instead of Daniels or Tomlinson? Because those are two different positions. Moses is a tackle. Daniels and Tomlinson, they are guards. So that's a big difference. Morgan Moses is a tackle. Daniels and Tomlinson are guards. A big difference. Let us get great depth. We need an upgrade. Yeah, man. LDT is not going to want to be a backup. He wanted, but yeah, well, sorry, LDT. I love you, man, but I feel like we could do better at right guard than him. I'm reaching for the stars, baby. I want a top tier O-line. And I think LDT is a great player. Not going to lie. Didn't know Daniels plays center as well. Does he do it well, though? Yeah, he does play center as well. He's a versatile player that plays right guard and center. He's not as good as a center as he is as a right guard, but he's, emergency center in case one of your guys goes down. This is true, Lou. LDT, big upgrade over GVR. Give Moses a 3-year contract front-loaded with bonus. I'm down, Jay. Mr. D with a $5 donation. You're the man, Mr. D. Always appreciate you, my man. Always appreciate you. Richie, you forgot when Braxton Berrios dropped a perfect end zone pass from Sam Darnold when we beat the Rams. Yeah, I did forget about that. All right, maybe I was overhyping Braxton a little too much. But still, my case still stands. I want Braxton Berrios back on the Jets, and let's hope that the ball's in Berrios' court. The Jets did everything they can at this moment, and we'll just wait and see to see if he returns or not. But Mr. D, I appreciate your generous $5 dono. You're the man. Yo, Richie, I know we're tired of drafting DTs, but are we going to? So I definitely expect the Jets to draft a defensive tackle. I just don't think it's going to be in the first 3 rounds. I think we might draft a D tackle either the 5th or even the 4th. We got Jonathan Marshall last year, but in the 5th round or 6th round, I think we got him. And he could be a part of the puzzle for next year. But, with Foldy Fatukasi walking, with Rankins as a possible cut candidate, with Shepard walking, we definitely need to get some D tackles. Berrios is replaceable. Yeah, he is. He's replaceable, but the one thing about Berrios that I love is, which is a big piece that you don't really, it's hard to really say about this, but what I'm trying to say is Braxton Berrios' chemistry with Zach Wilson is huge. They're really good friends, and you want Zach Wilson to be comfortable with your players. Not saying that we can't replace him and then Zach gets chemistry with another player. That's obviously a possible thing to happen, but I love the chemistry with Zach and Berrios, and I love Berrios' energy. I love his smarts. He's a valedictorian. I don't know. I'm just a big Berrios guy. Resign Fatukasi. I think Fatukasi's gone. Fatukasi doesn't really fit the system, and you can kind of see that last year. And he's going to be wanting to get paid for a system that fits him better, like an $8-9 million per year contract. I don't think that the Jets are going to be doing that. Double dip in tight ends. Draft is deep. I'm down, man. Give me McBride and Ruckert, or McBride and Dulcich, or McBride and Jelani Woods, or McBride or one of them. Foot isn't a Jet anymore. Who's Foot? Whose foot, Mr. D? Appreciate the dono as always, my man. But who do you mean? What do you mean by foot? I'm trying to think who you talking about here. Let me know in the chat, Mr. D, and I'll answer the question. Berrios' energy and chemistry is not replaceable that easily. Thank you. I agree. This is what I'm trying to say, man. The energy he has, the chemistry he has, the type of character that he has, he is a prototypical Joe Douglas culture guy, which is why I would hate him to move on from the New York Jets. All right, so Mr. D meant Foley. Foley Fatukasi is what Mr. D meant here. He is a free agent, and it's a very good chance that he does not return with the New York Jets past this year, if that answers your question. Rex Ryan, his foot. Yeah, Rex Ryan. Mr. D, I appreciate the dono. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the Jets Media free agency preview. I appreciate everybody tuning in. All the super chats are very well appreciated. All the love in the chat is very well appreciated. Everyone hitting the like button is very well appreciated. If you did not hit the like button, I appreciate if you just hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds on your way out of the stream. How many likes do we have right now? Let's see. 148 likes. Can we finish off the stream with 175 likes? Everybody, hit the like button if you did not already. If you already did, then I appreciate you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any more work. But it really does mean a lot, and it supports the channel. All you have to do is smash that like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new. And stay tuned, man. I got a lot of Jet stuff coming your way for this entire week, leading into free agency frenzy next week. So, yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You're awesome. You didn't touch your nose. Good job. Yeah, Jay, I try not to. I got some allergies. I know you commented on my stream last time, so I did that just for you. JET, yes. Everyone smash that like button. Let's do it. Appreciate all the support. Thanks for feeding the Jets obsession. Of course, man. Of course. I always try my best. Good stuff, Richie. Ed, appreciate you tuning in. All right, guys. That does it for this stream. Catch you guys next week. Or not next week. I'll see you soon. But, yeah, stay tuned for more Jets content. Love you all. Let's go, Jets. Peace.